Alright everyone, over the last month, in the wake of one dude getting killed by police and kind of dying of an overdose at the same time, let's face it, we've seen billions in damage to US cities as far-left rioting thuggish hordes have gone crazy, and they've been enabled to do this by the states and cities in some cases. Some states refusing to respond. For instance, the Seattle mayor openly applauding armed insurrection in her city, for which she's facing now a recall that will probably go forward and be successful, because the left hates her for using tear gas and doing anything, and the right hates her for Chaz, because she emboldened terrorists in the most literal sense. But I thought this was funny. This is a funny story. Link in the description. Archived, of course. Always use archive.today. The Wayback Machine, don't use the Wayback Machine anymore. They sanitize pages now, so use this. And also get rid of Avast, because Avast considers this to be a malicious page that's for phishing, even though there's literally no way to fish using archive.today. It's very interesting how they've probably got a payoff from somebody. I wonder who got pissed off enough at the archival service. Which legacy media network was losing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars just because a handful of YouTubers are archiving the links they share out? Who got pissed off enough to put out a hit on the archival service? I'd love to see those emails. Anyway, you've got a situation where people are burning stores, attacking people. You've had dozens of murders at this point directly linked to riots, including that 8-year-old in Atlanta, including that 24-year-old mom not long ago who got shot in the face and killed after saying all lives matter. You've got violence, you've got arson, you've got looting, you've got insanity. Some of it's not even political. Some of it is people in these crowds. They fall into three groups. Racists who don't like white people, ultimately. Fanatic leftists, Antifa and similar groups, and then looters. The 90% of them are just looters. They're just there for the show. They want to burn a few tires and do a smash and grab because they can get free stuff. Anyway, it was funny because all throughout that, for again, a very long period of time of non-stop riots and burning, the legacy media has called these people protesters, leading to the surreal moment that a local affiliate was literally reporting in front of a burning Wendy's. People are burning the building down and throwing rocks through the windows. Oh, look at this mostly peaceful protest over here. The cameraman literally gets attacked, and they're still calling them protesters. Well, these protests are turning a little ugly. Yeah, news crews getting attacked. Wendy's burning to the ground. Millions in damage. It's a protest. It's not a riot. People aren't rioting. They're not vandals. They're not looting or committing an arson. No crime here, folks. Turn the other way. That's what happened. But now, link in the description. You've got a protester, and this is more legitimate than the BLM mob has ever been as far as protests go. Some dude in New York, I guess in front of Trump Tower, they put Black Lives Matter, because, New York City engages in Marxism. And a dude came along and dumped red paint on it, and now he's being called a racist vandal by the legacy. He's a racist and a vandal, and look at this horrible far-right extremist. Interesting. Dumping paint in the road doesn't stop the road from being functional. It can be washed off. The dude who washes it off probably gets $12 an hour anyway, so you spend maybe $50 to clean up this memorial, as you got this mural that people are driving over anyway, slowly eroding it because that's what fucking happens. Have you seen some of New York City's roads lately? Off the main drag, it's not quite the same as the really, really nicely paved Manhattan. Anyway. I thought this was funny because this is linguistic psyops. This is propaganda. The propaganda is that they'll call people who are engaged actively in violence, victimization, causing millions of damage. Those are protesters. Those are mostly peaceful. They're riots of peace, shootings of peace, armed insurrection. Chaz is a peace zone, an autonomous friend zone or something. One dude dumps a fucking single bucket of red paint across a mural he happens not to like, which is on a taxpayer-funded road anyway, de Blasio helping put it there. Well, we're gonna catch who did this. Yeah, they'll probably charge him with a hate crime. That's the funny part. And then when he argues in court, well, Black Lives Matter is just a political organization. I'm not arguing against the slogan or the idea. I'm arguing against the self-proclaimed fucking Marxists here. And by the way, how much damage did I really do? It'd be funny to see him wage that in court. They'll probably try to throw the book at him. By the way, I'm increasingly concerned that the dude that's responsible for George Floyd's death will get off because of overcharging. Keith Ellison, I happen to agree for once with Keith Ellison's decision to bump it to murder too, but the charge might not actually stick. In retrospect, it might have overcharged because there was so many drugs in George Floyd's system. So that negligent manslaughter might be about as high as you could feasibly go in reality. Would him removing his knee have saved his life? Or did his heart start to fail because of the massive amounts of fentanyl in his system before the knee was on his neck? The world may never know, and unfortunately a jury may never be able to figure that out either and might say, well, we can't give him murder too. Where we will give him a lesser included charge of negligent homicide and he'll spend a year in county jail or something. I'm worried about that because I think that that'll reinvigorate more riots. Maybe that was Keith Ellison's idea all along. Oh, I'm going to throw a wrench into this election real good. And of course, people will blame evil Drumpf in the far right. They're not going to blame, by the way, the plan is trying to pet my head here. It's annoying me. They won't blame Keith Ellison. They'll still continue to blame, Orange Man and White Man, and it's just a bunch of bullshit. So yeah, keep this in mind. Look at the reporting about this, as opposed to the reporting you've seen over the last month about actual riots, which have taken lives, which have caused enormous amounts of damage. The state of Minnesota, perfect case in point. For weeks and weeks, they say to Trump, don't get involved, don't send any troops, we don't need your help, these are mostly peaceful, there's no problem, everyone's fine, Minneapolis is a city of peace, and all of this bullshit. They then have the audacity to ask him for $500 million in taxpayer funds with a declaration that it's a federal disaster area. That the state, specifically Minneapolis, is a disaster area. Well, that's funny. You didn't seem to think it was a disaster at the time. You didn't want to send in the state guard. You didn't even want to send the police in. You basically stood back and let the city burn. $500 million in damage. By the way, that's actually a good thing because it's probably a lot less. They're just asking for pork. Because they want to be able, they're like, well, this street here that had a shop burned down on it, well, the street itself has some cracks in the pavement. We'll bill them with that too. Because a couple people pried up some chunks of tar to throw. Well, we need a whole new road now. We can't just send in one of our $15 an hour grunts to fill it with gravel or anything like a reasonable person. Have you seen the way that the cities do their roads anyway? It's a pile of fucking bureaucratic bullshit. You see, 4 guys standing around watching one dude fill in a pothole is the perfect illustration of it. Unfortunately, it's actually not hyperbolic, and I've actually seen that sort of thing happen. I even see it around here. I saw it the other day, and I had to laugh because the Netherlands is less bureaucratic than the U.S. Their road crews still act the same way. It was so funny. Literally 4 dudes standing there while one dude in one of those little, it's like a miniature bulldozer, was scooping dirt out of a hole in the ground. They weren't doing anything. One was smoking, I think, a joint, actually, at the same time. Really surreal. You see it all over the world. No wonder society is dysfunctional. I mean, come on. The legacy media here is showing us exactly why things are dysfunctional, because people's heads are filled with lies and propaganda 24/7. That's about all. Peace out.